The
Try that
middle
again.
finger
Dang
of
it.
conferences when you're attending and somebody gets up and walks out middle of your talk because they disagree with you.
Just take off my headset and leave.
Just throw it down. Fuck this guy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our recorded presentation that Brad put together. I'd like to introduce you to Brad Folta, who is the president and CEO of Honey Badger Analytics out of Minnesota.
And janitor.
I am Jay, and janitor, head janitor. My name is Jay Metzger. I am the immediate past president of this year's NEURISA board. This is my third year as president, and we're really excited about NEURISA Day 2021 coming up as we're filming this on Friday the 24th. So without further ado, Brad made an awesome abstract for this talk, and I'm excited to be here with him. Say a quick hello and get things started.
Yeah, no, Bradford Folta, president, CEO, dictator, whatever of Honey Badger Analytics, head janitor. So I get the mop handle, I guess. It is a pleasure to be here, obviously. This was one of those presentations that I've always wanted to talk about. I could never do because I used to work for people. Now I don't work for people, I work for clients. And it's one of those fun things that we can just get out there and be more brazen with, because we are, after all, Honey Badger Analytics. So the talk today about no more data hostages. It's when I wrote this presentation, or when I wrote the abstract and I wrote the title of it, it was never meant to be a presentation. It was more meant to be a discussion, but it was aiming at the fact I am so tired of all the bullshit that's associated with our industry, and the fact that we have people that are insecure in their jobs, we have people that are insecure managers, we have people that it was just insecurity running rampant all the way around, and we have managers who don't know what the hell it is that we do. We have people that are just doing stupid stuff. We have people that get in our way. Everything is going every which way, and now people are starting to take what I call data hostages. You can't have my data because that will make my job redundant, or you can't do this because that will do that. Blah, 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 blah. This whole chain of events, because everyone's afraid of either losing their job, everyone's afraid of being replaced, or the inevitable, everyone's afraid to speak up because they don't know how to speak up. And so the talk here today, and the reason that we're having it in a discussion format with Jay, because we couldn't get everyone else together in a room, is to focus on just that. And if anyone ever has any questions or wants to talk about it, or even needs a motivational kick in the ass, do let me know. You have my number. Call Honey Badger Analytics. I'm more than happy to help you, or happy to talk about your situation. Jumping right into it, Jay, letting you know too, there are so many customers that I come across, so many different clients, even prospective clients, that what I hear first and foremost, we don't have the money in the budget to do the job we need to do, to buy the computers we need to do it. And I'm sitting here just like, well, then buy the damn computer. Why are you paying me to be here to tell you to buy a computer? Like, what a waste of my time, what a waste of your time. And it's a computer. And prior to this, Jay and I were actually talking, that's like, essentially hiring a carpenter to do the work for you as a full-time staff, but not giving him any of the tools to do the work that he needs to do, like building a house. So how are you enabling people in your organization, if that's the organization? And what I would like to tell GIS people is quit, move forward, go on to a better place, find something that they will enable you to be the person that you need to be. Don't freak out about this stuff, because it's not you that's the problem, obviously. You might be the problem, and it might be just something that you're insecurity or whatever. And Jay, you could be unmuted. Oh, you are unmuted, good. You might be the problem, but you also need to contend with that too. Is it you that's actually the issue, or is it somebody else that's the issue? If it's somebody else that's the issue and you can't fix it, that's up to you. You can do whatever you want with it. You can sit and just, be in misery, or you can actually move on and go somewhere else and do something with it.
Well, and Brad's true. To pick up this talk, it's really important as we think about how GIS transforms our lives and how GIS transforms our work environment. Part of those things is how, as employees and how, as GIS practitioners, should we be transforming our outlook and transforming how we view our work. The idea of no more data hostages. I love that tagline, because the reality is sometimes people within our own organizations end up being obstacles towards innovation and actually changing. When I think about transformation, I think about change. And so if you're changing from one thing to the next, it doesn't always have to be a better change or a worse change. Sometimes things just evolve and innovation happens from there. So I love the idea of this discussion. I think it's really important to think about how we can help to change our own environment by how we're doing our work and sort of how we hold ourselves and how we hold ourselves accountable, I think is the best way of saying it. So I'm really happy to be here discussing this with you. I think it's really important. And again, you know, we've had plenty of discussions, you and I, about this topic. I just think getting it on tape and letting people hear what we're talking about and putting it through their own process and seeing how it affects their lives can only help everyone.
To that point about this whole idea that people can be obstacles in the way of how you need to get your job done. Would you allow this to happen out in the real world? If you were, you know, essentially working on the street or doing something and somebody were to stand in your way between you and what you needed to get done, how would you deal with it? You'd probably get angry. You might hit them, which hopefully not, but you might. Or you're going to do everything in your power to get where you need to go. Why don't we practice that same way in the office? Like, this has been a question of mine. This is why people have hated me. This is why bosses have hated me. And I mean, the beauty of it, the freeing part that I have today is the fact that I am my boss. So I can say all the shit I want anyway, because of the fact that I don't have anyone to report to. And, you know, for those that are going to be immediately upset with, you know, this discussion or the way it goes, blah, 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 I understand the situations you're in. Or if you are the boss and you're the one that's doing this to your people, stop it, knock it the hell off. But in the same breath, you know, you need it. If you want people to innovate, if you want that culture where things are changing and changing for the better, you need to inspire it. You can't, you know, deflate people left, right, and Sunday and expect them to do less with more, or do more with less. That's just not the way this industry works. That's not the way our data works. You never got better data because you had less data. You got more specific data, but you can't answer all questions with, you know, one data set. You have a myriad of data sets. You need the computing power to deal with it. You need everything behind it. And it's just like, if your bosses don't know the software or the equipment that you need new bosses, i.e. leave the company, because they're never going to change until they get the picture, or until they get it, or you walk into their office and you scream at them. Not promoting that, you know, be diligent about how you scream and deal with conflict, but there's got to be some pushback, because if you just accept it for what it is, you're just going to ever accept it for what it is in their eyes. And that's not fair to anybody. You get a miserable working life, they get what they want because they can make budgets meet, but the budget's never going to meet anyway, so they're always going to be on you for more. Also, with that, I know that there's a bunch of companies out there that are hurting for people, so perfect time right now to be like, well, if you don't want to hear my ideas, I'll just go somewhere else that does. And they might tell you that in the beginning, and then you find out that they want you to innovate within the box that they already have. Screw them. Go somewhere new. Find the shoe that fits for you. Don't worry about what's going to come of it. Money and everything can be rectified. Money always goes up, it seems, the more you move on, because you're no longer locked down. You become more kind of passionate about what you know how to do. If that makes any sense. Where you think I'm off, Jay?
No, I love that. And it got me thinking a few things. One is, you know, especially before thinking about the data security or the job security side of, this is my information. I know this information. No one else knows it but me. So if you want to know an answer to this question, go talk to Bob. He has the answer. The reality and innovation comes, and why it's scary is because we're trying to take these systems that were really a dictatorship, right?
Yeah.
I own this. It's my data. I'm the one who have the answers. If you want the answers, come to me. We're trying to take that and open it up to people and try and get these systems connected, because, you know, the old hit by the bus syndrome. But unfortunately, life on this planet's short, right? So
exactly,
we never know when someone's going to move on by choice. Maybe you get another job offer that you can't turn down, and all that innate institutional knowledge goes right out the door with the person who wouldn't open up and share. I think that's part of what we do in GIS, is to try and get that information opened up and connected to systems. So again, we can use it and work with it. And it takes that onus off of the hotspot of, this is the person who's the most integral person in the whole organization, and tries to defer that out to other people. So no, I think you're on the right page with that 100%. And the other side being, you know, if as we're the subject matter experts in the room usually with GIS, if you have an environment of people who aren't supporting you with everything that comes along with it, because one of the problems I think in the world is people have gotten used to seeing GIS deliverables, whether it be Google Maps or a weather map or whatever they're using, especially now in business, they're used to getting it quick. I want this map, I want that, but they don't realize what goes into that ask. And so as a subject matter experts in the room, we have to hear what they're asking for and know what that takes to follow up. So it really is the whole environment of GIS. It's not as easy as push the easy button and get an answer, right?
Oh, exactly. Well, I mean, sometimes it is, right? Like you just have to turn on a web app or make a web map or something like that. But the downfall is that the expectation that we set, that they're asking us to do this, we assume they know what they're talking about. In a lot of cases, that's also a lot of other clients. They think they know what they're talking about. They don't. They're not the SME in it, or the subject matter expert. They're not us. They don't know what to do. If you were to put GIS in front of them, they would be like, "Oh, what do I do with this?" That's the thing, and that's where the pushback needs to start happening. Like I always tell people with Honey Badger, right? We aren't the experts in your field. We're not supposed to be the electricity or the electrical engineers or the people out there working on the power poles or the fiber or anything else. We're the experts in geographic information systems. We make your life easier because we know how to make that work. Points, lines, polygons are how we define the world. Your job is to know what you need to know for your job. Don't expect me to know why this transformer needs this versus that, or how these transformers have PCBs versus mineral oil, whatever. Today, that's your job. And that's where we need that merriment to come in. And that's where I always tell people, you're more powerful than you think. You have amazing ideas because you have this spatial ability that they don't. If they did, they wouldn't need us. And so why aren't we feeling like a badge of honor with that we are this own thing, even though we could be anything we want to be. We could be working with police data one day, we could be working with nonprofit data the next day, we could be doing Department of Health stuff. We could be in all these different spaces with our expertise, but we have a hard time defining it because, what is that expertise? Well, it's geographic information systems, it's geospatial, it's geomatics, it's geodetics. It's not, I do linear referencing systems for road networks, or, I know how to set up a trace on a geomatic network for a water system. That doesn't define you in your profession. So why do we let it? That just tells me you're really good at building a network with nodes. Like, it'd be equivalent to me saying to somebody, I'm really good at drinking beer. I'm not a professional beer drinker. and that's, if anything, I hope people take away from this talk today. I always tell people, find your inner voice. Find it. You have it. It's screaming inside of you. It wants to do fun things. It wants to do good things, or it doesn't want to do anything at all, but own it and let it be known. Because it doesn't matter if you just like doing GIS for the sake of doing GIS and you like the job and everything else and you're fine with your pay, be fine with it. If you think you need more, you can do more, then go do more. Stop sitting here, ranting and raving about what you could be and just go be it. Like, it's, yeah, from the GIS side, from the management side, it's like, just be open-minded. GIS can do a lot of things for you, and the world's unlimited as far as what we can do with it. So why are you sitting here trying to pigeonhole it? Right? Like, why are you trying to force it into a box that it might not fit into? Or why are you trying to make it into one thing when you need to zoom out and see everything, how it's interrelated? A lot of people.
That's a great point you just made. I really appreciate that. Finish up. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of people are very tunnel visioned on what their want is. I want a map to show me all the McDonald's in the United States, so I never have to be without McDonald's in my life. There's other restaurants too. There might be better fries at Wendy's, and I think it goes fries at McDonald's, burger at Wendy's. We have a thing out here in the Midwest called Culver's, which has the best cheese curds, for anyone who knows what cheese curds are, fried cheese curds.
And frozen custard.
And frozen custard. Exactly. Yeah. So imagine being able to build a map where it could satiate a bunch of different needs versus just, I want to go to one restaurant. It's, you know what I mean? Like, this is the thing I don't understand about our industry. People get fixated onto that one thing and they're just like, this is the way it needs to be. And it's like, but you miss everything else that could help you in all of that.
You're limited by the amount of knowledge the person who's leading the team has in GIS. So if all they know in GIS is I'm going to make a map and print it, then you're not going to ever know about the capabilities that go further than that in the environment. And I think it's very important to always be learning and pushing the boundaries. As you said, if you're happy just doing one thing, fantastic. If you want to do other things and that's what makes you a whole person, it's there. I think one of the problems with GIS is we can solve so many problems. It's a problem-solving tool, and there's an infinite number of problems out there. And so sometimes finding that focus is really the main thing, I think. Finding that area.
It totally is. And but that's also why I tell people to advocate, or I advocate for people to try on all the different shoes. I know what I love about GIS is that diversity of topics that I can work in. So people ask, what does Honey Badger Analytics do? Everything. Well, what do you mean everything? You come to me with a spatial problem, we'll figure it out. You come to me with a data collection problem, we'll figure it out. I have no issue with that because I love the diversity of problems, because at the end of the day, I can solve it with, a point line polygon or whatever else, because we're enabling with the tools, because we view the tools as tools, not as just a one-way path, or this this one thing that will drive us one way. And that's the fascinating thing, I think, about it today. Or what do they call it in like Europe? Antisocial behavior. I kind of feel like that happens in GIS. You come into a company, may or may not be like one of the old places that I used to work, and you have somebody who's been doing GIS for God knows how many years, right? The issue is they become antisocial because they're still beaten up by all the other, dare I say, non-GIS people. That's because they're constantly getting stuff that they're only reactive. And they get built into this reactive kind of situation where they're always trying to solve everyone else's problems. They never have enough time. They never have enough technology. They never have enough staff, whatever. Then all of a sudden you come in to try to help out with it, but they're too protective of it because now they actually have to open up stuff. That's that data hostage side of things, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, we need to stop pushing our firms that way. I think case in point would be the Esri article that they wrote a few years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know when it was, but it was 2016 that I saw the article. It was about how to make effective teams with using an effective GIS team, right? And in there, they discussed you have two teams. They did a study of two teams, both of equal credentials. This team was more innovative than this team. This team had problems and ended up falling apart. This team just went with it and ran and became like super GISers. And it was because they actually took interest in the parts that they wanted. They were able to openly discuss and talk about stuff. And they were always constantly pushing the buck forward, right? Whereas in the other team, it was closed off, it was segmented, it was hierarchical. And they were told, this is what you have to do, and this is how you have to do it. It goes back, to link this to another thing, so I can get completely ethereal on you guys. There was a guy that was giving a TED Talk, and he goes, if I were to take a bop it, the thing from the 90s that were annoying as hell. If I were to take a bop it and give it to you, Jay, and tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do the other thing. You got to pull it, you got to hit it, you got to spin it, right? You would just do that. And that's the only way you would know how to use the bop it. But if I just gave you the bop it and said, here, figure it out, you could do amazing things because you would do all these things that I never even thought of. And I very much think that's the way we need to enable our GIS people. And that's the way that people should be approaching their jobs to enable themselves, is that they need to, as my camera zooms in and out on me to get fuzzy, they need to be given the ability to do the things that they need to do, but then also be able to innovate on top of it. Because the idea is never going to come from just the GIS person. The idea is always going to come from everyone that's communicating with the GIS person to make it happen. Am I getting too off topic, do you think, or is it more?
No, it's good.
Yeah,
absolutely. No,
it's one of those things where it's in taking ownership of your job and your role and your ability to do things and getting the tools that you need by standing up and saying, I am your GIS person. If you don't like the way that I do my things, then you find a new one and I'll go somewhere else that does, and I'll make them successful. Because I know what I need to do. I know what I need to be successful. And if you don't supply it for me, then it's a bad relationship and you should just get out of bad relationships. And to that same point, when you do become successful, keep on that tangent of building it up, building your knowledge up, working with it, learning new things. Again, if you like doing what you do it and love it. Nothing against those that just want to do data stuff. However, for those that are, they go to Esri and they walk out with this like absolute wide-eyed, like, this is amazing. Or they go to another conference where they see these things that they really want to do, they really want to participate in. They just don't know how to get there, or they don't have the connections or whatever. Start making those connections, start asking people, go up to the person that's talking and say, hey, by the way, how do I do what you did? Because that will help you. That will get you where you want to be. And you can do cool things. That's when I started my business. I didn't think I would be working with a water district, an Atlas company, and all these different things. And here I am And this is a guy that's come from an infrastructure and environmental side. And it somehow has just blossomed into its own whole thing. And now, even after a conversation today with a social justice group, we're going to be looking at the social justice side of things. All these different topics coming into one thing to make us, really love the industry that we're in.
All right, folks. Well, listen, we're so excited for this conversation. I think there's more pieces to it. I'd like to just finish it with Brad's bio that he left us, which I just love. Brad Folta Jr. is a rabble-rouser GISer. He loves to push the field into the future by seeing the bigger picture. GIS isn't stagnant, in his opinion. It's always changing, thus requiring us to always change with it. Brad, thanks again for being here and for adding to the NEURISA Day 21 conference. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, none. I love it. Go out there and be the GIS people that I know you can be.